Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. In today's video we're going to be taking a look at the 2018 popular vote results out of the House of Representatives elections in those midterms in each of these competitive states that remain gray in this electoral map. So these are all these states that in 2018 were not safe margins in a presidential election year for either party in their specific House of Elections races statewide. So for example, how this is going to work in the state of Nevada. In 2018, looking at the popular vote of the 2018 United States House of Representatives elections in Nevada, the Democrats held 51.13% to the Republicans 45.77%. This was a uptick of 4% in favor of the Democrats, while only a 0.42% downturn for the Republicans. However, this margin of a little under 6 points is enough for a lean classification in Nevada for Joe Biden. And that is how it is going to work for the rest of these states labeled in gray. It's going to be a quick video just to give you guys a little visual of how it would look like. Moving on to the 2018 United States House of Representatives elections in the state of Montana. Now, Montana is a lot different than a lot of the other states that you're going to see in the rest of this video, as Montana only has one at-large congressional district. Now, Greg Gianforte, the Republican, won this race. He's now running for the governorship in Montana in 2020. However, back in 2018 in the midterms, he defeated Kathleen Williams with 50.9% of the vote to Kathleen Williams' 46.3%. So normally Montana would be more of a deep red state, but since we are basing it off the 2018 House elections and the popular vote there, 50.9% to Kathleen Williams' 46.3% is only enough for a lean in favor of the Republican Donald Trump in the state of Montana. Now moving on to the United States House of Representatives elections in Arizona. Now this is an interesting one. The Democrats had a 5.65% uptick, while the Republicans had a 3.82% downturn, 50.37% in favor of the Democrats, 48.67% for the Republicans. Despite this massive change in terms of the popular vote, the Democrats only picked up one seat as compared to the Republicans losing one seat. The turnout was 63% in these elections. We do expect the turnout to be a little bit higher, obviously, in 2020, but based off of the House elections in 2018, this is actually a tilt in favor of the Democratic Party. Remember, anything from 0 to 2 points this far out from the election, I label as a tilt, and 50.37% to 48.67% is in that 2-point margin. Now moving on to the state of Colorado. Now Colorado is moving further and further left, and you can see that in the 2018 House of Representatives elections here, where they won with 53.44%, the Democrats that is, to the Republicans 42.96%. Again, just a 1-seat change in favor of the Democrats and a 1-seat loss for the Republicans, but a big uptick in terms of popular vote, plus 6.66% in favor of the Democrats, minus 4.74% for the Republicans. This is enough for a likely classification in the state of Colorado. So as you can see through here, this isn't that different from the 2020 forecast that I have been constantly updating on this channel. I do typically see Nevada as a lean, I typically see Arizona as a tilt, and Colorado as a likely. Montana, on the other hand, anything more than a likely, that is not really realistic or at all. I think Donald Trump will win in the state of Montana by most likely safe margins, maybe in the likely margin, but that remains to be seen. Now moving on to the state of Nebraska. Now Nebraska has an interesting way of dividing up their electoral votes along with Maine. They have 2 at-large statewide electoral votes while splitting up their 1st, 2nd, and 3rd congressional districts up into 1 electoral vote each. Now typically the at-large statewide results, that is, are safe in the Republican column, as are the 1st and 3rd congressional district. However, the 2nd congressional district is typically very, very competitive. And we saw that again in 2016, where Don Bacon, the Republican incumbent, won with 51% of the vote to Kara Eastman's 49%, a margin of just 2% in the 2nd congressional district in the state of Nebraska, which is only enough for a slight tilt in favor of the Republican Party. Nebraska's 2nd congressional district is a very interesting race to watch in this election cycle, because as things stand right now, signs are pointing to that flipping in favor of the Democratic Party. Now, another one that is interesting, the state of Kansas, where the Republicans only had 53.95% of the popular vote in those House of Representative elections to the Democrats' 43.89%. This was a boost of 16.83 points for the Democrats in these House elections. The Republicans only went down 5 points, but the Democrats went up almost 17 points, which is really significant and only makes Kansas a likely in favor of Donald Trump. Now, this is an interesting thing that kind of coincides with the polling numbers right now in the state of Kansas, where Donald Trump doesn't have a more than a safe margin of lead in 538's polling average. I believe it is around 7 to 10 points. I don't know if I'm completely right there, but I know for a fact that the polling average right now in the state of Kansas is in fact in the likely column. So an interesting coincidence there, maybe more of a correlation than a coincidence. Moving on to the state of Iowa, where the Democrats actually defeated the Republicans in terms of House of Representative elections. Now, they flipped 2 seats, which is very notable in a state as small electoral vote-wise as the state of Iowa, as the Democrats now hold 3 seats to the Republicans 1 in the state of Iowa. They also won in the popular vote percentages, 50.52% to the Republicans' 46.54%, a swing of about 7 points on average between the two parties, 6 in favor of the Republicans, 7 for the 6 in favor of the Democrats, that is 7 in favor of the Republicans. This is enough to make Iowa a lean in favor of the Democratic Party. Now, do I believe that Iowa is a lean in favor of the Democratic Party? Not at all. Do I believe that Iowa is more likely to go to the Democrats at all? No, I actually think, in my personal opinion, Iowa is right now is a tilt in favor of the Republicans. But based on the 2018 House elections, that is a lean in favor of the Democratic Party. And moving on to the state of Wisconsin. Now, Wisconsin is another interesting one. After Donald Trump flipped the state in 2016 by marginal numbers, the Democrats held 53.18% to the Republicans' 45.61%, enough for a likely classification in the state of Wisconsin. Now, this is also the case in the state of Michigan, 52.33% to 44.65%. Both Michigan and Wisconsin went from going to Donald Trump by marginal numbers to likely numbers for the Democrats in their 2018 United States House of Representatives elections. Likely margins, that is from 7 to 11 or 12 points rather. That is the margin in which Wisconsin and Michigan went to the Democrats, specifically in the state of Wisconsin by about a little under 8 points, and in the state of Michigan by a little under 8 points there as well. Moving on now to the state of Ohio. Now, Ohio, contrary to the state of Iowa, typically you see these two states correlate in terms of their electoral or election results. However, in 2018, the Republicans held on to 52% of the vote to the Democrats' 47.27% in their House of Representatives elections. Nonetheless, this was a 6-point downturn for the Republicans and a 5-point uptick for the Democrats. However, this is still a margin enough for a lean in favor of Donald Trump and the Republicans. Now moving on to the state of Pennsylvania, 55.03% to 44.75%, a complete switch up from 2016's House elections, where the Democrats gained 9% of the vote to the Republicans losing 9% of the vote. The Democrats gained 3 seats and the Republicans lost 3 seats in the state of Pennsylvania. This is almost enough for a safe margin in the state of Pennsylvania, which is really something to look at when looking at the 2020 elections in the state of Pennsylvania as well. However, that is a likely. Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, the 3 key states for Joe Biden, as I have said time and time again, all likely in favor of the Democrats in the 2018 House of Representatives elections. Now moving on to the state of New Hampshire. Now, New Hampshire, similarly to Pennsylvania, almost in the safe column for the Democrats. However, 54.53% to the Republicans' 43.62%, a boost of about 7 points in favor of the Democrats. That is also a likely. Not much to talk about there in the state of New Hampshire. However, a place where there is much to talk about, the state of Maine. Now, Maine, similarly to Nebraska, does split its electoral votes, 2 at-large statewide electoral votes, 1 for each of its congressional districts. Now, in 2016, the 2nd congressional district went to Donald Trump. He got 1 of the electoral votes there. However, this year, the at-large or the statewide results, 55.12% to 40.12%, a safe margin for the Democrats. And the Republicans lost about 8% of the vote there from 2016. The other big thing, though, the 2nd congressional district flipped in favor of the Democrats, making the state of Maine's 2 at-large or statewide results safe, the 1st congressional district safe, and the 2nd congressional district a tilt. Now, we are moving on to the South here, and in the state of North Carolina, where the Republicans managed to hold on to a majority in the popular vote in terms of House of Representatives, results in the state of North Carolina 50.39% in their column to the Democrats 48.35%. Similarly to all of the other states, the Republicans lost a percentage of the vote to the Democrats, gaining a bit. However, not enough to flip the popular vote in favor of the Democrats, and the state of North Carolina remains just barely a lean. It was borderline a tilt, however, it is a lean. And moving on to the state of Georgia, another interesting one. Georgia went to Donald Trump by about 5.1 points in 2016. In 2018, however, it came down to about also a little under 5 points compared to a little over 5 points in 2016. However, compared to the House elections in 2016, the Republicans lost about 8% and the Democrats gained about 8%. However, this does remain a lean in favor of the Republican Party. And now moving on to the state of South Carolina. South Carolina is another state that is typically seen as a safe state in favor of the Republicans. However, 54.29% for them to 44.37% for the Republicans. Again, Republicans lost vote, Democrats gained it. This is still a likely margin for the state of South Carolina and for the Republicans. Now moving on to the state of Florida. And Florida, very, very interesting here, because you would assume that Florida would flip a little bit more in the Democrats' favor, given Joe Biden's standing there in polling numbers here in 2020. However, the state of Florida actually went to the Republicans by a larger margin than Georgia did. Very, very interesting, by over 5 points, which is enough for not only a lean in the state of Florida, but really, this is something to note. Although the Democrats gained 2 seats over the Republicans, who lost those 2 seats, they only gained about 1.89% in those midterm elections. This could be very telling for the presidential election in 2020. Maybe the 6-point advantage that Joe Biden has in Florida isn't as strong or as reassuring as it may have looked at first glance. Something to keep note of. However, in the state of Texas, it also became closer, much closer, in fact, than the state, Florida, that is. About 3.4 points in favor of the Republicans. However, the Republicans lost 6.8%, and the Democrats gained 9.9%, a significant uptick for the Democrats as expected, given Texas's dramatic shift more to the left as we go on. However, this is still just a lean in favor of Donald Trump and the Republicans. And looking now at the final electoral map, 296 electoral votes in favor of Joe Biden to Donald Trump's 242. This would be the election map if it was completely based on the 2018 United States House of Representatives elections. Interestingly here, Iowa lean in favor of the Democrats. That is not likely to happen if we see states like Florida, North Carolina, even Ohio in the lean column. I expect to see Iowa there as well. Other than that, not too many huge surprises. Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania maybe more in the lean column. However, likely is not completely out of the picture with Joe Biden's polling advantage nationwide, and especially in those 3 states. Nevada, Arizona, and Colorado are very similar to how I would predict them in 2020, as is Texas. New Hampshire, Maine is a little bit off. Maybe the 2nd congressional district I expect to go to the Republicans still, but nonetheless very interesting. And I hope you all enjoyed, thought it was informative. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Please make sure to like the video if you did, subscribe if you haven't already. Tune in next time.